If you are thinking about moving to the Philippines, specifically Manila, I made this video for you. I wanted to share a few of my tips and maybe some insights of things that I'm glad I did before I came here and things that I had to figure out when I got here. So it just made moving here or coming here for an extended vacation, or if you're like me, living a digital nomad lifestyle, would make the transition here a little bit easier. So my first tip, and this is for traveling anywhere, is to get yourself a Wise card. Wise is an online banking platform that allows you to have multiple bank accounts in different currencies with no monthly fees. I recommend doing this about 3 weeks before you leave for your trip, because you can get the account running online after they verify you within like 48 hours, but it does take about 2 weeks to get your card in the mail, the physical card. You can use that bank card like a debit card at any country, and you can also take out cash up to $300 Canadian without any fees at major banking ATMs, which is really useful. It also lets you set up automatic purchasing for currencies when it hits a preferred rate. So that's just another bonus and a great way for making the most out of your money. My second piece of advice is to bring cash, obviously. There are a lot of places here that do not accept cash payments. You could either go to an HSBC bank or a bigger international bank in the Philippines and withdraw some cash just so you carry some with you, or you can go exchange your regular currency at one of the currency exchanges here. You can find them almost everywhere and they don't have any fees, or they shouldn't have any fees. Number 3, the next thing you want to do when you get in Manila is obviously get a SIM card. I recommend not buying a SIM card at the airport because they were charging 1,000 pesos or about $25 for a SIM card. But when you go to a 7-Eleven, it's 40 pesos and it comes with some data and minutes included for a week. I was doing a bit of research before I went and decided on a provider. There's 2 main providers here, Globe and the other is Smart. I just found that the reviews on Globe, all in all, was that the app was easier to use to load up your plan with minutes and data, but it also had the best coverage for when you were going out to different islands, which might be a thing that you want to consider if you're going to be traveling around in more remote areas. I bought mine from 7-Eleven and it comes with a plan for about a week. After that, you have to load it up with the app. Depending on what plan you get, it expires in like 7 days. But I pay no more than like a few bucks a week to have 8 gigs of data, unlimited calls, and unlimited text. So that's just one of the perks of living in Manila. The fourth thing you want to do right away is set yourself up with a GCash account. So GCash is one of the preferred methods of cashless payments here in the Philippines. You'll find that there's a lot of places that either don't have enough change for $1,000 pesos bills, or they don't take visas and credit cards and things like that. And this is where GCash comes in super handy because it's an app that you basically preload with money. I preload it with my Wise card and it's super simple. Then I have it on the app and you just pay using QR codes everywhere and it just takes it out automatically and it's super fast. The fifth thing that you want to consider or get right away is Grab. It is the Philippines Uber. When I was here 7 years ago, there was Uber, but Uber is not a thing here anymore, apparently. It's just Grab. And so that's a ride sharing service. You can also order groceries, though I've never tried that. And you can order food. With Grab, it is so much easier to know like how much a trip should cost and see the ratings for the drivers. And it just feels a lot more secure than hopping into a cab, though those are still around here if you need them in a pinch. One big thing you should consider is that it can take a very long time to order a Grab. The other day we waited 2 hours for a Grab during rush hour on a Saturday, plus it's Christmas season. So if you have somewhere to be during rush hour, order your Grab ahead of time, or like expect that you may be late, and it's just like super unreliable when you need it in a pinch. So expect to be on Filipino time maybe if you're gonna get a Grab during rush hour, because it's crazy. 5 or 6, I'm not sure. I'm not even going to count them anymore. So let's talk visas. As a Canadian passport holder, we are allowed to be in the Philippines visa free for 30 days. I know they change the rules sometimes, so you might want to just check on the government website just to make sure how long the visas are good for. One of the stipulations of entering the country is that you have to have a return ticket out. And if you're going to stay for a longer period of time like I am, you might not know when you're going to be going back or if you're going to have any stops along the way. So what I did to make sure that I had ticked off that stipulation of entering the country was I purchased a very inexpensive flight to Singapore. It sent me back $70. I was reading a lot of travel forums of people saying they got fake itineraries out, but I don't think that's really safe because somebody might go in and check it and find out you have a faulty ticket, and that can get you into heaps of trouble. I've also heard of people paying a little bit extra and getting a refundable or a flight that they could just change to a later date or maybe use. But when I looked into some of the airlines that flew out of the Philippines, especially after the COVID situation, I don't know if you will really be able to contact any centers or anyone reliable to change your flight, and you might just end up losing on all of that money. So I just considered the $70 just part of like my traveling expenses. So once you get into the Philippines, you have 30 days before you have to leave, right? Unless you go in and get a visa extension. Now you can get this visa extended for 2 months, and you can keep extending that 2 months for up to 6 months altogether. You have to go into an immigration center, specifically an immigration center for visa extensions, and it does cost about 11,000 pesos to get this done. They take your passport for about a week and you get a visa card, like an alien visa card, and you have to keep all of that paperwork when you exit the country to show that you didn't overstay your visa. So the initial upfront cost for that was $200 Canadian, but when we go back to extend it again another 2 months, it should cost less than that because we had already paid for the card. So it should cost about half as much, so about $100 for the next 2 months, and then you can keep doing this for 6 months. Just as a quick tip on dress code, they are super strict at the immigration office, so no open-toed shoes. And for me, I didn't even get to go in because I was wearing shorts above my knee and I was wearing a tank top, so I wasn't allowed to go in, but my partner got to go in with my passport and everything and put that through. So if you are traveling alone, dress conservatively, which brings me to my next tip, is that the Philippines is still quite a conservative country when it comes to fashion. If you're gonna be wearing like your summer clothes here, like crop tops, short shorts, just be prepared to get stared at by creepy old men. It sucks and it's freaking hot, and I don't want to be out here wearing layers to cover up. But if you don't want old ladies and old men to be staring at you and judging you, bring some extra layers of clothing to cover up. Another thing that I wish we did was bring some supplements and vitamins with us. Now, when I think about my mom packing these giant balikbayan boxes, you know what I mean? The balikbayan boxes with like luncheon meat, toothpaste, and like just random snacks from Costco. I'm like, you can't buy that here? Well, you can, but it's more expensive. So I'm sorry, Mom, for making fun of you for doing that. Now looking back at my choices, I probably would do the same thing next time I come here. Pack supplements and your favorite snacks, not just supplements, but your drugstore medications as well. You might want to have a quick run to your local pharmacy, pick up some over-the-counter painkillers, allergy medicine, diarrhea medication, and anti-nausea tablets. That might be a good idea to have because, again, it is just a lot more expensive and sometimes harder to find depending where you're traveling here. So let's talk about accommodation. One of the best things about living here is how affordable it is to live comfortably. One of the things that we did just to make sure we didn't commit to anything that we hated was just rented an Airbnb for 2 weeks. With longer stays, of course, you get a bigger discount overall with your accommodation through Airbnb, but we didn't want to commit fully just in case we didn't like the area or the building, or actually the building was just messed up or something was wrong with it, because that does happen a lot here. Things are just nicer in the picture than in real life. We found this place on Airbnb. Actually, the place that we're staying in now isn't the place we saw on Airbnb. It was actually in the same building, a different unit. And then we just so happened to know somebody, like a family friend, who helps clients rent out their investment properties. Of course, if you don't have somebody in the Philippines to help you find accommodation, you can just speak to the building's leasing department. There are a lot of empty units in these new sky rises, and I'm sure you'll be able to find something. A lot of them are furnished, which makes it so easy. when we were planning the accommodation and this whole trip in general, we wanted to be very close to all the activities that we would be doing because traffic here is insane. Like, you will just lose hours in the day trying to commute anywhere. Luckily, our spot is a block away from a co-working space and then a block away from a gym, though most buildings have gyms. And then we also wanted to be close to a climbing gym. So that is why we picked where we are. But of course, pick what's important to you and how you want to spend your time here. You also might want to learn some basic Tagalog, especially if you are leaving Metro Manila and exploring more islands or the province. Most Filipinos speak English very, very well. They learn it in school and it's what's spoken in businesses. So it's really easy to get by, but it's just a respectful thing to do, is to learn the language of the place that you are going to be living in. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my video based on my experience of living here for about a month. But if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to talk it out with you. Bye.